Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Big Screen Show. My name is Victor,
I'm Alex.
and we're back bringing you guys another movie review. This time, Alex, Francis Ford Coppola's long awaited, self produced, written, directed, etc. Megalopolis is. Would you say he would say this is his magnum opus just because of how long it took to make and all the hoops he had to jump through, all the denial, had to fund it himself, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, for us movie nerds, I'd say we were pretty, at least you and I, we were not necessarily excited at the idea of seeing this movie, but more so just like getting to the point of seeing, at least for me, like what it is he was so passionate about making, even though being denied, even though he had to fund it, even though going through all the hooplas. So it's here, it's out, it's in theaters. So let me hear it. Let me hear your general thoughts. Megalopolis, also probably the first Francis Ford Coppola films you and I have seen in our lifetimes in the actual movie theater, which is kind of cool. Um, but but yeah, let me hear it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first part to your question, I don't think he considers it his magnum opus, but he does consider this a pretty important movie to try
Right.
and show more of like great originality and more help creating like a more greater way of innovation into like back to like the good ways of original filmmaking and storytelling. So I will
Sure.
say that. But yeah, this movie was like 40 years in the making since 1980, and the fact that he
Wait, pause. This movie has been 40 years in the making. I thought it was 10 years in the making.
no 40, he's had this idea since the 1980s.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, go ahead. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so the fact is he's had this idea like literally decades, and then he's had to finance it himself, $120 million using his like his winery and everything like that. That's just
Mhm.
crazy in itself. But the movie, when I watched it, I mean, as we expected when we talked about this off camera, we had a feeling this movie was, and I told you this movie was probably gonna be very divisive. After seeing this movie, oh yeah, it's very divisive. I'm already hearing a lot of different things. How people like it, they fucking hate it, and I'm like, just don't really understand the point of what he's trying to say in this. But like, again, it's kind of confused about what he is trying to tell with this essence of the story. But the most of why I could gather most of it is that like, I give this movie a 7 out of 10 because even though story wise, there are a few shortcomings, but I think the essence of what he's trying to tell with the story, as well as its sort of reflection of like the Roman Empire back in the day, which I'll get into spoilers later on about that, is definitely more of a telling of like of more of a cautionary tale, a tale, but also something that's kind of meant to bring greater idea and something to help in the context of like what's going on in society today as on and has surprisingly relevancy in today's political climate, which is actually more of a coincidence rather than what's happening currently, which is kind of a crazy thing, especially since we've been getting like plenty of movies that kind of do reflect modern society, like A24 Civil War, as you know. But
Sure.
honestly, yeah, what I have to say was the cast was like very amazing, specifically like with Adam Driver, Giancarlo Esposito, Natalie Emmanuel, and even Shia LaBeouf, which is crazy. But
Mm.
despite its few shortcomings, I do like the way the performance was done. Good visual effects for the most part, especially when this movie had like a lot of production issues in its process. But all in all, I would say this movie does have some good worth of what it's trying to tell, even if it's very flawed in most part, but still visually, story wise, very compelling and capture their attention either in the good or best way possible, especially when it comes to like some certain scenes or things, especially how like lines and dialogue is delivered where it feels very like Shakespearean and dramatic, almost like it's like a theater performance or a play,
Yeah.
which Coppola has always stated that he also does enjoy like live theater performance and things like that because he's even made a movie where it's kind of made to be live theater. So that's been pretty interesting. But yeah, movie is a bit of a mess, but it's kind of a well done. Hey, you have to like rewatch it again if you appreciate this kind of work and you're trying to really understand what he's trying to say. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. It's definitely intriguing and like it's say it's definitely worth a watch and it's definitely worth not liking it, but I feel like it's a bit overhated where there's still something to tell and should be done with it.
Mm, yes. So I agree with you. I think excuse me. My rating, I usually tell my rating at the end of my explanation, but I'll actually say it prior. My rating is for this movie a 7 out of 10. And most of that rating is hingent and dependent on the future in reality for me because I can see where the quality is and it's really high. I can see where the message is and it's all there. I just didn't really all gather it in the first viewing, but I know that I can get there. And so a 7 is like my, 6 I give. I'll only watch it once, but I enjoyed it that one time. So I have to give it a 7 because I know I'll watch it again. And I have to watch this movie like 2, 3 more times, and I will because I really want to get to that point where I'm like, ah, you know what I mean? Like something about this movie where you're finally like, oh, there it is. There it is. Like, I see it now. I get it now. Also, I just really think this movie needs to be watched. Like, I watched it in the theater, great. I watched it in IMAX, great. I would love to just see it at home with the subtitles on and really lock in because sometimes dialogue gets I feel almost lost without subtitles sometimes in life. But besides all of that, the my actual thoughts on my viewing itself are really the quality of the production impressed me the most, I tell you, because again, even just and we'll talk about this in spoiler territory, but spoiler free, I'll say that opening scene is about 3 to 5 minutes long, and honestly, that's like already I'm thinking that's not cheap. That's not cheap. Like that's it. I don't know. Like I guess everything around like everything that was happening I kept like connecting back in my mind while the movie was occurring like wow like he did all this like out of his own pocket like I don't know I was really really impressed by that because the quality is like super high like I mean I'm not trying to say it should feel like a homemade movie because obviously it wasn't going to but I'm just saying like I didn't expect it to be at like a blockbuster like it felt like blockbuster top notch corporations made level movie like like a universal funded or a sony funded or a something like this so it felt like that like quality wise like with the visual effects with the actors in it with the editing with the just yeah all of that and it was really really impressive on that front like it really really was like most of the time I had something like catching my attention on the screen where I was like holy cow and I really like that about this movie. However, also I just want to shout out the cast is great. The cast is one stacked and two did great. Honestly, like I really really like that. But on the actual plot itself, again, like I said, I need that second watch, that third watch, something along those lines where that eureka moments that like that moment hits. So I didn't get that in this viewing but I can see it's there. I have it's generally there, but it's kind of like kind of like how I just told you off camera. It's kind of like how people felt after they watched Tenet for the first time way back when that came out. Like they were just kind of confused, but they knew it was a good movie. So it just kind of takes a little bit more time. So I wouldn't. I just without spoiling anything, I would just say you kind of have to just see it for yourself and really take up your own opinion. And yeah, I think this will definitely be a very divisive movie. Like you said, like I mean, you know, I feel like I allude to Daniel once every video, but I go to the movies with him. For example, he hated it, and that makes sense because as you and I know, he's more of a just regular movie viewer, so he disliked it, and that's okay. And people like you and I who are movie lovers and cinephiles will probably watch this and be like, but we won't give up on it, and we'll watch it again, maybe once or twice more, and see if we can come with a different epiphany of it and a new opinion, or leave it in a certain place, and that's the difference. So I definitely believe you, and makes total sense when you say that the community is very divisive over this movie. And as you said, we talked about this before it even came out, so we really saw this coming. But I don't know. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. But I don't know if it was you who said it or if it was my cousin. I was talking with him about it that said it. But this could be like one of those movies where right now this is the situation, but like a decade later, it's like one of Coppola's like sleepers, or a hit, and like people finally start to like really see it in the vision that it has and all that stuff. So
Yeah, we have
you
talked
know
about that. We've talked about that.
yeah, so we'll just have to see where it goes. Really, we don't know right now, but yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. Um, which is you know I think that says everything that I really have uh thought of, because it says I would watch it again, but I don't love it yet,
Mhm.
basically. And so that is my rating. So you also gave it a 7 out of 10. So yeah, so let's get into spoilers. Let's dissect this a little more. So if you don't know how things work around here, we try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, sometimes more. So please make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you like videos like this, let us know by hitting that like button down there, because it really does help us out. But this is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen the movie, click off the video. We will be getting into spoiler territory, so we will be spoiling it. You have been warned. Now, Alex, like, for example, I was just talking about this, but that opening scene, right? It's him on the top of it's Caesar, aka Adam Driver, on top of the rooftop, and he does the whole time freeze thing where he like takes one step forward, and now he's like there. He says freeze and then comes back. That's a lot of visual effects there. That is not a cheap shot. You know, that's not inexpensive. It's a costly shot to make that opening scene. So off rip, I was thinking, whoa, I don't know. Maybe I just got caught off guard, and maybe I should have expected it, but I don't know what I was expecting, knowing he funded the entire thing. To be honest, I didn't even know what the budget for the movie was until after I saw the movie, because I had to look it up, and then I found out he spent 120 million, which I was like, dang, I didn't know. Like, I just didn't know it was like that. But it felt like it was a big 100+ million dollar project, and it was.
Yeah, it definitely
It just
felt it definitely felt big.
went on it.
Yeah,
But
especially with like the visual effects, because like even like because like Adam Driver's character Caesar, he's basically like a huge famous architect and created this created like this whole element that's used in the film called that's called Megalonia or something like that, and basically to create this megalopolis city and stuff like that. But every time when Megalonia.
I think it's Megalon.
Yeah, I think that's it. Man, yeah, and how he's eventually essentially destroying all these buildings and these like other community stuff with the where like I guess like the more common people like either the poor are living, and he's just basically destroying it just to build something better, which honestly which crazy because they really portray Caesar as like kind of like this more like antagonist, like he's like this greater villain and everything. Yet, as we find out later on, it's like it's literally by his own design especially even like how Giancarlo Esposito's character, Mayor Cicero, he completely hates him and thinks that his whole this blowing up the building to make something else just feels like it's a waste of like money and resources and how it should be focused more on the people. But like it also kind of creates more of this political thing where like the mayor isn't really doing much for like the poor or the people either. Yet Caesar is trying to build something better, even though it seems like terrible at the moment, but it has the potential to be better.
Yeah. Well, I don't think like literally the mayor, if you really take in all of his actions from beginning to end of film, never even really did anything mayor like for his community.
Yeah,
That's
true.
that's at least how I saw it. Like he was really just which again, going back to what you were saying, like could be seen in a light where it applies to current events, but it's really just a face there, a face that's there for the sake of being there and holding said position, but not really actually doing the job or acting on it for the greater good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I do want to add, like, even like one of the major teaser trailers that Coppola did for Megalopolis was this huge showcase of like Caesar using his like time stopping abilities. But the thing
Uh-huh.
is, the movie really doesn't do much further than that, so it
Yeah.
sounds like kind of pointless. Like, what is it trying to really tell or portray with these certain moments? Because like,
Yes.
maybe it has something to do like with time and the future stuff like that. But that could be done in like literally any other way. And also, it makes you kind of calls into question how early on in the movie Caesar had basically had like these pills and stuff like that. And then we find out how later that even though his wife has been dead, he visits the place and goes to visit her, but there's nothing there, like it's not real. And just
Hmm.
kind of makes me think like was this whole time stopping ability or something seems like something that was like in his head, even though it was used in like later the final ending of the movie and other parts. Yet Mayor Cicero's daughter, played by Natalie Emmanuel, named Julia Cicero, she was able to help Caesar do that ability one other time. But like, I really think that's something that's really meant to like to get like your attention, but like
Hmm.
it doesn't really do anything thematically. I would say, at
Hmm.
least not in any way that I can see.
Hmm. 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 No, I'm right there with you the whole time. I'm thinking, it opens with that scene. He's using the time stopping ability, and then the very next scene, once the movie actually starts, he uses it again at the construction site, and I'm like, okay, okay, some time stopping here, some okay, cool, and then it just never gets touched on, like it did that one scene you referred to with him and his wife because he couldn't do it anymore or whatever, but and maybe here and there, but it was never actually used for an actual purpose that serviced the movie when it came to the script, meaning the actual substance and information based uh, progression of the movie that we're supposed to go down. Like if you're being told information as you move through a movie, one is supposed to service the other so that you get a full complete like understanding of everything, at least in theory, right? Some movies are a little bit crazier, but the time thing, at least the time thing we're talking about in this movie, was just like never actually part of the actual girth of this movie. So I feel like, yeah, why was it? Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I'm really speechless when it comes to that. I don't know, especially because I actually really like it. It would have been cool if, like, I don't know, that was something. I don't know.
Oh,
Like
I tell you, that
super.
would have, yeah, I tell you, it would have come in handy when Caesar got shot in the film. That would have came in handy.
Mm,
I mean,
mm-hmm.
he didn't see it coming, him getting shot, but I feel like once he felt like sound like the gun in his face, he would have quickly said like, "Time stop." Then it's like right when the bullet was getting ready to hit him and everything, like that, that would have been something to like, it would have saved his
Dude,
life.
I jumped in that. I literally, I I jumped so hard in that movie, in that scene. Like it was because it was just so fast, and it was like in the theater. It was so I was in the IMAX theater, so it was just so loud. And it was just so, I was like so immersed in the movie that I literally like I jumped out of my seat when that happened. Kind of like when you remember when John Wick Chapter 4 started, and I jumped out of my seat in that first punch of
Yeah,
the,
the first punch of the first punch of the
it
wooden
was
board. So
it was
yeah,
like
you jumped out of your seat with that one. That was hilarious.
yeah, it was like literally the same exact jump. Actually, a little less aggressive, but still like pretty much the same. Anyways, the point is on the time thing. I feel like it's almost like wasted space there because you're kind of giving something a little bit of attention, but you're never really actually fleshing it out.
Mm-hmm. True,
Would you?
true.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe even if I say maybe it has a deeper meaning, I don't really know what that would be.
Yeah. See, honestly, that's the thing. I don't really know. But moving on from that point, I will
Right.
say, as like I'm gonna bring us back to what I was talking about in our talking about like our my review. I really do understand what Cobble's thinking of like how he was basically making this like to like the whole story is kind of meant to be like modern day Rome, basically called New Rome. Because as
Sure.
we kind of see like the ways of Rome and how he presents it in this way, it is kind of like kind of like what goes on in today's world, and it also feels like more of a warning to like how we can progress further and do more than what happened like in original Rome way many years ago, like centuries ago.
Yeah.
Because like it reflects what New Rome is and what Old Rome was, where it has like own political instabilities, labor shortages, simple like the underprivileged, basically like rioting, feeling underappreciated, undeserved, not giving the right proper attention. Then there's all like raider society. They're basically like indulgent on like sex, desire, entertainment, and things like that. It's really hard not to find it's hard not to find any commonalities between like the modern world and what was going on in New Rome and old and ancient Rome.
Yeah. 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 No, they're definitely there. My question to you simply is just what exactly do you think? See, okay, so my thing is I feel like in the most simplified way, this new Rome idea, we see uh the mayor supposed to be the one to lead it because it's just like new city, supposed to be like, you know, and there's more political players also in this movie, like, like Shia LaBeouf things, and then there's the new like they're having the whole election thing, like, it's things like this, but so I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's very democratic, this new Rome and things, and then you see the common people kind of revolting and rioting and not happy, like not the common people meaning the lesser, like how would you describe who they were, just like the not the yeah, just like the lesser people, they were like rioting and protesting and things like this, like not the higher ups, not the rich and wealthy, but maybe the poor people and stuff. They were definitely not happy, and that is very connected to like how ancient Rome was. However, back in ancient Rome, Julius Caesar was the one who actually was the ruler of everything, whereas here it feels more democratic, and Julius Caesar is supposed to, in place, at least the way I see the movie, is supposed to be Caesar, Adam Driver's character. But the difference is, instead of him already being a ruler like in ancient Rome, he's actually more, and let me just see how you feel about this, maybe more like a savior.
Yeah, I wouldn't say probably yeah. In a way, I would say it's more as like the savior. I think he's like probably more of like I guess you could say like more like the seer of the future, since again he everyone else is always just focused on like having it within like its current moment, or just trying to like strive survive and things like that, but no one's
Mhm.
really thinking about any ways of advancing the future to help solve these problems later on, which also is, I guess, maybe he's like, see, he's like more like uh the self villain with greater purpose and intention. Because again, in a quote from the movie that he said, like, you pretend to be a good man, people don't pay attention, but fake being a bad man. But then Julius Cicero had said everyone tries to kill you, but he does get greater attention and greater action, so which also makes him basically more notable and people pay more attention to it. So even though whether how people see him as good or bad, they pay attention and they're paying attention to what he has to say, because in the final moments he basically was thinking more about the future and the potential everyone else has for going on to his greater future, and there's always a chance for everybody, which I also think is Coppola's greater point for, and also how like we shouldn't be like the how like ancient Rome fell, where everybody wasn't together. There was no sense of unity. Everybody was always selfish, self-indulgent. Political parties had their own selfish intentions, one trying to beat the other, being underhanded and all sorts of things like that. If we actually
Mm-hmm.
do have a chance to come together, if we have like these brilliant minds and people, whether there's someone who's like rich and powerful or someone who's like at the very bottom, like poor, but has their greater ideas and is smart, then they could do more to really progress things into what could be our own megalopolis, our greater, more peaceful society than what we have now, something better.
Yeah, yeah. Also, that quote is actually a really good quote. But yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Francis, Francis, man. Um, huh? Yeah, I guess you're right.
But
I do like. I do like. I do. Maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna say necessarily that you're right, but more so that I agree with that way of looking at it.
yeah, and going back to what you were talking about, how basically for like how Caesar from ancient Rome was like, and when he fell,
Mhm.
everyone was really trying to come after Caesar in the way that Caesar was in ancient Rome had been, where he ended up just being like stabbed in the back and basically had
Yeah.
lost everything. It was
Mhm.
really going that way with Aubrey Plaza's character, Wild Platinum, and Shia LaBeouf's character, Claudio, who was basically Caesar's cousin, and his whole intention was basically just to like just ruin Caesar and just defeat him and make him like be lesser than, and losing all his influence and power. And again, Claudio I basically made himself out to be like this one person who could really stand above all to rather truly beat Caesar and everything. But in the end, it ended up with him basically being strung up by the people and basically just killed
Mhm.
essentially. But it's weird because I think it's also in its own showcase of how like where this Caesar from Megalopolis is more thinks about more of like the people and the future, when Caesar in ancient Rome was like more self-interested and wanted to keep his
Yeah.
own power and to keep everybody else down, his power at the
Sure.
top. So
Sure.
there are major reflections and the ways, again, it's a cautionary tale. It's this way how Coppola sees ancient Rome being in the way for us to progress forward in by the ending of Megalopolis.
Mm. Mhm.
But
Sure.
yeah, that was like Shia LaBeouf was basically had like a crazy performance, stuff like that. He basically went from like very flamboyant
Mhm.
and like very sexual person trying to be this like very self-driven, revenge hellbent. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He had like a lot of fluctuations in his character, but it was entertaining to see for sure.
It was good to see him. It's been a minute since I've seen him on the big screen. It's good to see him. And yeah, good to know he's still got it.
Hmm.
Know that he still got it. Like the character and the role itself was very what it was. Very out there. But as far as him embodying it and getting that performance out, it was great. He did a great job. And me, I love Aubrey Plaza. I thought she did great too. She was also very like those two characters. They're just very dynamic. They pop off. They they pop out of the screen a little extra compared to other characters just because of their nature and the way they're written and the way they're supposed to be. So I actually like that he picked both of them because it works.
Yeah, actually, I was actually surprised about how it really worked, how really well it meant to blend together, especially with how Aubrey Plaza's character, Wow Platinum, basically went from someone who like loved Caesar, was like just obsessed with Caesar and just trying to get with him any chance he can, but he brushes her off in just one little scene, and Caesar's ready to just take everything. Then again, also that's more to like the whole like trying to stab Caesar in the back by marrying Caesar's uncle, who's also like his biggest backer in finances. But in the end, as one was I was thinking like it was actually the movie was actually gonna go into like literally the downfall of Caesar and just kind of ruin this whole dream of Megalopolis and everything. But it went the opposite way, where just because like John Voight's character, who's like the uncle with Hamilton Crassus the third, essentially ended up basically killing Wild Platinum because he understood the manipulation that he was trying to do, and
Hmm.
basically even tried to shoot his own son, to shoot his own son, shoot his own son, with Shia LaBeouf's character. That also shows that you try to come after me and everything I was trying to help build and this. Nah, you ain't
Yeah,
living to see this. Nah.
yeah, yeah. No,
It
this
let
movie.
yeah, it played smart with what it played smarter, and totally twisted our expectation, which was a very smart move. I love that.
Yeah, it was. It was a dope move. I agree. But this movie was crazy. Like it was so, and it was so like everywhere. Like, dude, honestly, like really, it just need. This movie is just one of the. It's like a slow burner, and it takes time, but it gets in its groove, and it just. I'm honestly dying to see it again because I need more. Like with this is one where I need like repetition with it to really like work these ideas, work the image of it all, work the universe of it all into my mind and really like grasp and get that eureka moment just cuz I am not there yet, but um yeah, the quality is great. Also, I want to shout out Giancarlo Esposito. He did great. Um always a fan. He did great.
Oh
I
yeah,
just want to say.
definitely. Yeah, definitely shout out to Lawrence Fishburne as like
Oh yeah.
Caesar's like driver, as Caesar's driver, who's always been like the narrator for most point. And this
Mhm.
that really authentic voice he does when he does like his own little telling narrative, and also these deep quotes and his deep quotes and stuff like that. It really helps carry the type of film that it was doing, and also really adds more emphasis to the fact that like with these characters in the script writing, it's like every single character's performance always just feels like it's like I said, Shakespearean, and feels like something from like a play that they're reading. It feels very dramatic because like even with like Caesar's introduction with like the debate with like Mayor Cicero, he basically started with literally a Shakespeare quote by Hamlet.
Hmm. Is that so?
Yeah, we started with "to be or not to be." I'm not gonna do the full quote because I don't remember it all, but like that's like the only type of Shakespeare type of significant quote that I actually can actually remember and note due to like
Yeah. That's definitely
TV.
the only
Besides,
one I know.
yeah, besides Romeo and Juliet, of course.
Right. Right. Hmm. Yeah. There's so many, honestly, just good. Also, I don't know if you realize, but there's that girl, that actress that is on SNL in this movie.
Yeah, actually I did notice that. Yeah,
Yeah. So like, I don't know. There's just a lot of like big names. Like, I don't know. The cast is good. Like, I'm just all the pieces are there. I just still haven't quite put them all together myself, but I'm dying to get there. I guess that'd be the best way to say it.
yeah, like I'm saying, if we give like another way watch of this, and then give the time for like the community to give like another year or two or so, wait and revisit this movie like months after when it's available like digitally, stuff like that. Give them some time. This movie is definitely going to be considered like underrated and probably get a lot more attention and a lot more study going on. Where maybe like 5 years, 5 years down the line, there's definitely going to be some a major spark amongst like the film community online, stuff like that.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Uh, But I don't know. I think that's all I really have to say about Megalopolis. What about you, bro?
That is definitely all I have to say about Megalopolis. Um, I just want to. The shortest way I could put it is I'm dying to see it again, but I didn't hate my time watching this one. I just want to see it more times because with this one time meaning that I saw it. But anyways, yeah, 7 out of 10 for. But I say we recommend seeing it because I think it is definitely a movie that you have to watch for yourself and you know form your own opinion. I don't think some people look up how people feel about a certain movie and on the internet, whether it's a social media page like Instagram, a reviewer, whether it's like actual critics, whether it's like a Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, whether it's somebody that they watch on YouTube like us and listen to their opinions and see how they feel about a movie before they actually go see a movie, and depending on whoever or whatever they looked up opinions, they will either go see it or not see it. I don't think this is not valid for this because the opinion of this film will be very volatile throughout any and everybody that sees it. Like, it's very rare with this movie, I think, that you'll find, you know, people finding a common ground with this. It'll be a very one-sided, other-sided, third-sided, fourth-sided. Like, there's going to be multiple sides to this film. So really, it's one where I advise, y'all go get out there, go watch it yourselves, and create your own opinion because it's just one of those. It's simply just one of those movies. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. We try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, sometimes more. So please make sure to subscribe to the channel to stick around for that. And if you like videos like this, or I'm sorry, if you like this video, please make sure to let us know by hitting that thumbs up button down there because it really does help us out. But with that being said, this was the Big Screen Show, and we'll see you guys very soon. Peace out.